welcome to Moving Well. This morning I'd like to just mention a couple things, mainly that this is not an exercise class and it's not really a yoga class, but it has a lot of similarities to yoga, and applying the principles of moving well, which is actually Feldenkrais method, also known as neuro movement, really enhances your yoga. So it'll enhance any movement that you choose to apply it to. So today we're going to be doing a very interesting lesson. It's one of Moshe Feldenkrais's original lessons. And so I want to remind you that if you're having any difficulty, moving into a position, remember not to effort, not to try to make it happen, but pause, back up, take time to imagine doing the movement, and be willing to do less. Be willing to let your movements be really small. And what else did I want to say? Using your imagination, moving small, and just be real gentle with yourself. Be willing to have the movements small and not have to accomplish the whole movement. And that will make more sense as we go through the lesson. So go ahead and lay on your back. We always start taking time to feel ourselves where we are right now. And I apologize, I'm reacting to whatever they clean the carpets with again. All right, so now, first of all, notice what gets your attention. Is it something, part of you that's resting more heavily? Is it places where your body is not touching the floor? Is it any place that's uncomfortable as you're laying there? Just notice what does get your attention first. And then get an overall impression of yourself. Like imagine that you're standing over yourself looking down and looking down at the imprint as if you had been laying in the sand at the beach. Where would the imprints be deeper, more clear? Where would it appear that there's no imprint? And then just pay attention to how heavy your head feels. Is there space between your neck and the floor? Feel your two shoulder blades, the right shoulder blade, the left shoulder blade. And then scan down your right arm, through the upper arm to the elbow through your lower arm to your wrist, your hand, noting the distance that your hand is from your pelvis, and the direction that your palm is facing. And then shift your attention to your other arm and do the same thing, starting with your shoulder blade, feeling how that shoulder blade is organized. Then from the tip of your top of your arm, through your upper arm to your elbow through the lower arm to your wrist, your palm, and your fingers and thumb. And again, note things like where are there spaces, how far from your body does that arm rest, and what direction is your hand pointed or directed right now? What direction is your palm facing? And then feel the two sides of your pelvis, the right side, the left side. Is one side resting more heavily than the other? And then from your right hip joint, scan down through your upper leg to your knee, from your knee through your lower leg to your ankle, and then on into your heel and through your foot. Noting the direction that your toes are pointing, the position that your leg is in relationship to your torso. And then bring your attention back up to your left hip joint and scan from your left hip joint through your upper leg to your knee. Is there space behind your left knee? And then on down through your lower leg to your ankle. Feel your heel and through your foot to your toes. And again, notice the distance between your 2 feet, between your 2 legs. And again, compare or contrast the direction that your toes point, the way each foot is organized. And then bring your attention to your sacrum, in the middle of your pelvis, that flat bone. And that down at the very base of your sacrum is your tailbone. Can you get a sense of that? And then slowly scan from your tailbone through your sacrum to your low back where your lumbar vertebra begin. And see if you can focus and just sense how clear are the vertebrae in your image. Usually some are clear and some may be even out of your awareness of yourself. But the low back is normally curved away from the floor. That's the type of curvature it has. And just notice right now at the beginning of the lesson how much space is there between your low back and the floor. And if you want to put your hand back there and feel, you can go ahead and do that. And then continue on up through your mid-back, where your ribs start, on up between your shoulder blades, where all the ribs are now attaching to your spine, to the top of your spine at C7, the large one at the base of your neck. And then really pay attention to the vertebra of your neck. There are 7 of those, and they're normally designed to curve away from the floor again, curving towards the front of your throat. And just notice how yours is right now. And how clear is it in your sense of yourself. And that goes right on up into your head. Take a moment to sense the weight of your head. Does it feel heavy tonight or this morning on the floor? I also teach an evening class. And note the leaning point. What point does your head rest on? And then note the direction that your nose is pointing. Does it seem like it's pointing right towards the ceiling above you? Is it a little off to the left, off to the right? And then take a moment to just roll your head a little left and a little right and start out real small. So you can really get a sense of what's the range of ease. What's the range of easy rolling of your head or easy turning of your neck? And then lastly, put your attention on your breathing. And when I said put your attention on your breathing, what facet of it, your breathing, did you first notice? Was it how deep in yourself your breath goes? Just notice, what part, where do you feel the air go? Does it feel like it's inflating all of your lungs, your lung on the right and your lung on the left? Does it go all the way to the bottom of your rib cage or lower? Just really put your attention on your breathing for a few moments. To just, as you inhale and exhale, we generally feel, we have a feeling sense of expansion and contraction that goes beyond the expansion and contraction of our lungs, of just our lungs that are within the rib cage. So just take a few moments to just really pay attention to your breathing, just to notice, where do you feel it in yourself when you inhale and exhale? And I invite you to turn on your learning switch as we begin this lesson. Remember, kids have a learning switch turned on all the time because they're curious, they're enthusiastic, they have vivid imaginations. So feel free to use all of those. And now go ahead and bend your knees, stand your feet. Stand them comfortably. And then with both hands, take hold of your right knee, or just on the front of your right knee. In other words, interlace your fingers and put them on the front of your knee. Not above your knee or below your knee, but on the front of your knee. There you go. And now just begin to gently pull your knee towards yourself. We're not doing any stretching. We're just looking for what's comfortable. How far does our knee go comfortably? Now I'm going to kind of do a head check because I want to make sure for this lesson that everybody has a head support that's going to really support the movements that we're going to be doing. So just play with, where does your knee move comfortably? Let's see, I'm going to try this one, see how that is, feel how that is. How's that? Is that comfortable? Yeah. And it feels like your head can roll easily. Okay, and then I want you to be comfortable, but I want your head to be able to roll. I'm going to start with this one. How does that feel? Good. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move yours too.
How did I know you were stopping here?
Because you know I love you.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, now that looks like it's just a little bit low for you. Pardon? Oh, you can get them in different sizes. There, how does that feel? It feels it looks just a hair too high.
Really?
Okay, I'm looking. It
felt okay to me.
Yep.
That one feels okay to me.
Okay, now I'm going to start. Put this here. Tell me how that feels. Okay, I'm going to try one more. Does that feel better or worse?
About the same.
Okay.
Feels good.
All right, I might lower it later, but as things change.
Okay.
All right, let's see. And after you've played with pulling that knee a little closer to yourself, go ahead and put that one down and do the same thing with your left knee. Just find what's the range of comfort and ease. And then leave it alone, lengthen your legs and just rest for a moment. Did even that little bit of playing with some movement change anything in how you're connecting with the floor? Now go ahead and stand both feet again. This time take hold of your right knee with both of your hands, as you did before. Interlace your right knee. Interlace your fingers, not your knee. And now try to make a number of circles with your knee, but pay attention so that the knee will also move to the left. Make sure you're going for a circle. So, and thank you. think also like in the direction of your left shoulder. So don't try to make anything happen, just make a circle in the range that's easy. And as long as we go gently, movement will increase gradually. And it'll get larger. But primarily right now, pay attention so that it'll be easy without a lot of power behind it. And you can allow your body to roll as much as necessary, or if it is necessary. And take as many breaks as you need to. You don't have to wait for me to say stop and rest. Okay, everybody go ahead and take a break. Lengthen your leg and rest. And of course, notice anything. Paying attention, taking time to notice even the most subtle changes in contact or breathing gives your brain the information it needs to take you further. And then go ahead and bend your knees again. And again, take hold of your right knee, below your right knee again. And resume making circles. And if you only went in one direction before, go ahead and go in the opposite direction. And what you want to pay attention to is the sensation in your hip joint. And see if in the circling, if you have the same freedom in all areas of the circle. Looking not to make it so big, but to make it smooth. And then change the direction. And keep your focus on the movement being directly in your hip joint, in your right hip joint. And if you pay attention and do it slowly and smoothly, you'll be able to distinguish when your body goes with the thigh. So notice when the thigh is moving independent of the pelvis. If you begin to feel movement of your pelvis, generally it means that you're no longer having the kind of movement in the hip joint. Then leave it alone, lengthen your legs and rest. And then pay attention to the feeling in your right hip joint. Is it any different from the left hip joint? And not just you may not feel the difference just in the hip joint. You may feel it in different areas of your right side versus your left side. So take time to scan and notice anything that's different. And then once again, stand both your feet. This time take hold of your left knee and do the same circles, just more slowly, more smoothly. And focus on moving evenly in all directions. So you may want to start out really small. I'm going to try something here. Bend your knees. Now bring your left leg up. And now take hold here. And see if you can, yeah, how does that?
Better. Thank you.
Are you in any pain or
They're just
discomfort?
sore today from the gardening.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that. Okay, then let that go. Lengthen your legs and rest. What do you notice shifting after having done this on the left side now? And then go ahead and bend your knees again. Again, take hold the front of your left knee. And this time, first imagine making a circle in the opposite direction. And now, in your imagining of the circle, did you make a tiny circle in your imagination, or did you make a large circle? And if you didn't make a tiny one, try making a real tiny one in your imagination, and then actually do a real tiny one. And then go ahead and play a little with the size of your circle. And being mindful of where in yourself do you feel the movement? Do you feel circles other than in your knee or your hip joint? And is your thigh moving independent of your pelvis? Is it truly circling within the socket? Or is your pelvis rolling too? And then let that go. Slowly lengthen your leg and rest. And then go ahead and bend your knees again, stand your feet. This time take hold with both hands, your right knee, below your right knee. And now begin to make circles with your right foot. So you're just going to hold your knee there and you're going to make circles with your foot, your right foot. And remember about slow and small. And pay attention especially to the ease of movement, to the smoothness of the movement, and not to the speed. And it doesn't have to be a powerful movement. It can just be a gentle little circling. And does it seem like it's a perfect circle or something close to it, or is it a unique shaped circle? And then pay attention to your big toe. And then pay attention to your little toe. So go ahead and lengthen your legs and rest for a moment. And just a reminder, you can stop and rest before I say stop and rest. Really honor yourself. Really honor when your body is ready for a rest. And actually, for many of us, that signal of when our body is ready for rest may not be something that we've paid attention to. So I encourage you to stop before you're exhausted. Now, I don't really expect you to be exhausted doing these little moves, but pay attention to what you're sensing and feeling, and see if you can begin to detect that it's time for you to stop and rest sooner than you normally would have. And go ahead and bend your knees again, stand your feet. And again, with both hands, take hold of your right knee. And again, you're making circles with your right foot. And notice, is your heel also making a circle? Play with going in both directions, one at a time. I know some of you are super achievers. You might try to do them both at the same time. And now do 10 circles very fast, very easily, just quick and easy. And pay attention to the direction of the movement now. This is just your foot. Just your foot is circling right now. And then leave it alone, lengthen your legs and rest. And if you're cramping, it means you may have needed to stop a little sooner.
I should have stopped before I started reading yesterday.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, hopefully you'll notice a difference after today's lesson. You know, and if you do it, the more gentle and small you do these movements, the more you're going to feel an impact, especially if you've done some heavy-duty gardening or something like that. And notice the difference between the right side and the left side. Any changing in your breathing. And now go ahead and bend your knees. Now, this time, take hold of your left knee with both hands. And remember, feel free to start small and slow. And you're going to begin to do circular movements with your left foot. And go slowly. Pay attention so that you're sure your heel is also moving. In fact, just pay attention to your heel. Put your attention on your heel as you're doing this circling. And now the movements in the ankle. The knee stays still. There you go.
That worked for this ankle, but when I repaired the right ankle, it wasn't good.
Okay, well, that's where the imagination comes in. And then leave it alone, lengthen your legs and rest. Oh, is it? It's suppose it's the side of the room or the and then bend your knees again. Stand your feet, take hold of your left knee again. And begin to make circular movements of your left foot in the opposite direction, that opposite of what you were doing a few moments ago. And then do 10 fast movements. First in one direction and then in the other direction. And notice, does it cease to be a real circle? And now slow it way down. Slow that movement way down, that circling. So it's the foot and not the lower leg. It's just the foot that's circling. And then do 10 quick movements. First in one direction, and then in the other direction. And then let that go. Lengthen your leg and rest. Would you like to put my sweater on?
No, that's okay.
Are you sure? You can lay it over the top of you. Would that help? Put it on backwards, maybe? I can tell you're really cold. That's not really conducive. Pardon?
You can turn the heat up for them.
We did turn the heat up. Russell did that. But it's, it doesn't heat up the room immediately. So. And now once again, stand your feet. Take hold of your right knee with both hands. And now the left hand stays at your knee and your right hand slides down your leg to your ankle, or where it goes comfortably. The right hand stays up. Yeah, there you go. And if you can only take hold of your pants leg, that'll work. And now begin to make a circle. You're holding your knee with your left hand. Your right hand is going to begin to circle your lower leg. It's going to, you're going to use your right hand to okay, and then let that go. Lengthen your leg and rest. Now remember, this is kind of an awkward position for a lot of people, and so be willing to do really small, and be willing to do less. And the less you effort, the more likely you are to sense differences when we stop for the rests. And remember, it's noticing the subtle differences that makes the change in our brains, which ultimately makes the change in our body. And that's much more effective than us trying to make something happen. Because remember, if we're trying to make something happen, we're going to do the same old that we've already got programmed in there. So now again, bend your left knee this time. Just the left. And now take hold of your right knee with both hands. And now this time slide your left hand down to your ankle. No, you're on your left leg. Left leg. So your left hand will go down your leg a little bit. And just go to where it's comfortable. Don't force anything. You want both knees bent. Both knees are up. Both knees are bent. And now with your hand, your lower hand, your left hand, begin to, and take time to just imagine making a little circle with your lower leg. Holding onto your pants leg is good if you can't hold your leg. And then leave it alone, lengthen your legs and rest. And now, while you're resting, first of all, notice anything that's different. And then I'm going to have you do something a little different. I want you to imagine your skeleton. And imagine how, if you're, just imagine your skeleton going from your feet on up through your legs to your hips. And notice the way your hip joint is, so your legs are connected to your pelvis. And so when you move the legs, it moves the pelvis, which ultimately moves your spine. Remember, because the sacrum's in the middle of your pelvis, that's connected to your spine. So if there's any little side-to-side movement of your pelvis, in fact, just laying there now, think of just lifting your right hip joint up in the direction of your right armpit. And then think of, let that go, bring that down, and think of your left hip hiking up towards your left armpit. So now, as you're imagining that move, shift your attention to your spine as you're continuing to imagine that little move between the right side of your pelvis and the left side of your pelvis. And what do you notice? Do you notice movement in your spine? Bring your whole spine all the way up to your head, your neck, your head. Then go ahead and bend your knees, stand your feet. And then just gently press on your right foot so the force goes up your leg to your pelvis, and it kind of hikes the right side of your pelvis up a little. What do you notice happening in your spine? Even if you're just imagining this. If the right side of your pelvis hikes up a little bit, how does it move your spine? Can you sense how your spine would move sideways? Move laterally? And then shift. Your right hip goes down and your left hip goes up. And just alternate those two, just while you keep the whole spine in your image all the way up to your neck. And you feel how that movement would transfer up your spine. So your spine would also be shifting from side to side a little bit. And then leave it alone, lengthen your legs and rest. Notice, is anything different in your breathing? As you were shifting your pelvis right side to left side, and the ribs were moving, the spine was moving, your lungs were in there. Did anything change in your breathing? Then go ahead and bend your knees again, stand your feet. This time take hold of your right, below your right knee with both hands. And then slide your right hand down towards your ankle. And, do this in the range of ease, comfort. Don't be stressing to get to your ankle. Just take hold of your leg wherever you can reach it. And now begin to take with your left hand, take it towards your midline, and your ankle take your knee towards the left and your ankle towards the right. Make this small. It's going to be this is a movement in your hip joint. So it can be just a real small movement. So it's going to be a little, you're okay, just like this. So can you feel it rotate in your hip joint? Okay, now, do you feel it like a subtle movement in your pelvis? Can you sense that movement traveling up your spine? It may take a little while to get the connection all the way up, but if we do this really subtly, this is a great way to mobilize our spine. And of course, stop and rest anytime you need to. And everybody stop and rest, lengthen your legs. Notice, does one side of yourself seem more prominent or clearer in your image of yourself, your feeling sense of yourself? And then bend your knees again, stand your feet. This time, take hold of your left, below your left knee. So your right hand will stay at your knee, your left hand will slide down your leg to where it's comfortable. Then go ahead and bend your knees again, stand your feet. And now go ahead, take hold of both, with your right knee, take hold with both hands, your fingers interlaced, but interlace your fingers in the non-habitual way. You know what that is? Go ahead, just interlace your fingers like you normally do, and then shift everything one digit over. And now like this, holding your knee, just on your knee, begin to rotate and start small. Make circles clockwise, make a clockwise circle. With your knee, you're turning your hip, in your hip joint, you're making a clockwise circle. And feel, is that any different than when you did it to begin with today? How far up your skeleton do you feel that movement? And then change the direction, go counterclockwise. Noticing what happens in your pelvis, your sacrum. How far up your spine do you feel the movement? And then let that go, lengthen your leg and rest. And then go ahead and bend your knees again. Again, interlace your fingers in the non-habitual way.
Right or left?
Both hands, both hands. Both hands, but you're going to be doing your left leg. I haven't gotten to the leg yet. So interlace in the non-habitual way, and again, begin to make clockwise circles with your knee. Noticing if it's any different than when you started today. And then change the direction, go counterclockwise. And then let that go, lengthen your leg and rest. And now. First, pay attention to any change, anything that got your attention. And then go ahead and do a slow scan starting at your heels, your feet, your heels, and just let your attention just slowly scan up your legs. Sense your hip joints, through your pelvis, your low back area. Has anything changed in the space between the floor and your low back? The two shoulder blades on the floor. And your ribs on the right, your ribs on the left. And then just notice, is there anything different in the way your arms are resting? Your right arm, your left arm? Any change in how your right shoulder blade is, your left shoulder blade? Get a sense of the weight of your head. Is there any change in how your head is resting, or the feeling of connection to your neck, your torso? I know we did a lot of movement impacting our sacrum, our spine, from the feet up. Right now, go ahead and roll your head a little left and a little right, and notice. Is there anything different in the ease of turning your head? And then just let that go. Then take a few moments to imagine how you're going to roll to your side and elegantly come to standing. We can imagine anything, and be willing to notice anything that's different. And then when you're ready, go ahead and roll to your side and come to stand on the floor. Let's give you this chair rather than that folding chair.
I was like, okay.
Is it? Okay. No, that's all right. Oh,
I'm just waiting a minute.
yeah, no, take your time. Please do take your time. I just was uneasy about the folding chair. Do you mind if I shift it out? I know you said it's fine, and I'll pay attention to that next time, but I just...
You know, I'd probably have to laugh if that chair folded right up on your head.
No. Okay. So. Oh, don't put your shoes on yet, unless you're leaving us. You want to feel your feet on the floor. And take time to just scan to sense the connection from your contact with the floor through your ankles, up your lower legs, your knees, to your hip joints. Feel how you're sitting in your pelvis or standing in your pelvis now. Get a sense of your spine. Notice if you can sense the curves in your spine. Your lumbar curve is designed to curve forward. And the thoracic spine. And the thoracic spine that comes along and has a little bit of a opposite curve, and on up to your neck, which again curves forward. Just take time to notice the way your feet feel on the floor. Does it feel like you're even on the right and the left, or heavier on one side than the other? There's no right or wrong. It's just taking time to notice what is. Feel the way your shoulder blades are resting on your back, hanging on your back. And the way your arms hang. Feel how your head is sitting on your spine. And then with your whole spine, all the way down to your tailbone in your image of yourself, just gently turn your head a little left and a little right, as if you're going to just glance to your left and glance to your right. How far down your spine do you feel the turning of your head? And then lastly, pay attention to your breathing. Where do you feel your breath go? How deep in your torso? How much expansion in your chest do you feel? How long do your arms feel? And then when you're ready, go ahead and walk around. Take the changes into motion. That's it for today. Thanks for joining us, and keep on moving well.